Okay, so I woke up at 5 this morning like a psychopath. Really excited for the record. The record drops tonight, technically at midnight, but because we're West Coasters, we get it at 9 o'clock. So let's get to it. Please welcome the Black Keys. What I need, but you say he's just a friend. You say he's just a friend. Hi.
What's up?
Hi. There's a reason I did that. You'll find out later. I gave you entrance music.
We approve.
First of all, one of the perks of doing this is that I get the album in advance. So I've been fiendishly consuming this album for the last 48 hours. You done so good, boys.
Thank you so much.
We actually were just backstage reading bad reviews. So
Stop.
I'm not even joking.
Can I ask you, at this stage in the game, do you even read? Are you serious?
Oh yeah, Exclaim magazine really didn't like it. Yeah.
Boo. Boo. I will fight them. Do you understand me? I will fight them.
Oh, I know. I just Googled the guy. He lives in Manitoba, so he gets a pass.
As you know, or maybe you don't know, Dan and Patrick have known each other their entire lives. Is that fair to say?
Yeah,
They're-
since we were about 9.
So what is your earliest memory of one another?
I remember the first time I met Dan. It was like right when I moved to the neighborhood, and it was like dusk, and all the other kids were riding bikes, and I had grown up like in a neighborhood where it was just like really old people who just yell at us all the time. So it felt like I kind of had moved into the Goonies neighborhood.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and they kind of had all the characters. I'm not sure which one I was, but there's definitely a chunk and all that.
So I believe that was called the Boondocks, right? Their neighborhood was called the Boondocks.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was called the Boondocks. I'm up on my pop culture. What about you, Dan? What's your first memory of Patrick?
I mostly remember his older brother Will, because he was a train enthusiast.
He was the local eccentric kid.
So you would focus on Will. You wouldn't see Pat or his brother, Michael.
At what point, I think you were teenagers when you finally became friends and started making music. In fact, hold on, I have pictures. Have you guys ever seen them as teenagers or in their younger years? Please put picture number 1 up. They're gonna kill me. That would be a young Patrick. Picture number 2. When Dan won Prettiest, what did you win? Prettiest Eyes.
Prettiest eyes.
Prettiest Eyes, is that at Firestone High School?
Firestone High.
Firestone
No, that
High-
was middle school.
Okay, we've got 2 more. Next picture. Look at that! And you've always had great hair. 1 more picture. Look at that. Dude, you guys were babies. So
We were on Ozempic back then.
I would talk about the ups and downs of being in a relationship with a band member for so long, but there's a documentary that just debuted at South by Southwest called This is a Film About the Black Keys. From what I've seen, you're gonna get all the goods. You're gonna get like behind the curtain. When did you guys make that and why? Because it seems like, I don't even know what streaming platform I'm gonna be able to watch it on, but it seems like you really leave it all on the table.
Yeah, a friend of ours suggested that his buddy make a documentary, and so I thought it was an interesting idea. After thinking about it, I guess once we crossed the 20-year threshold of being a band, I think kind of like your perception of everything kind of starts changing, and a couple of things happened at that point for me, which was that I thought it was important. Like if I was like a 15-year-old kid in Akron, like if I could see like how a band I liked, how it started, that we were just 2 idiots who luckily met each other and all the stuff that we had to go through. So that's basically the gist of the movie, and then the other thing that happened was, making this album was like I just started thinking about all the bands that have been around for like 20 plus years, and then what albums have they made, those bands that I care about, and the list was very small, and and it stays small according to Exclaim magazine.
You and you read
But
a
we
lot.
wanted to try to make something really good.
Okay, so I'm gonna pivot. So you'll see the documentary, and from what I've seen, it looks freaking awesome. What do you know the streaming platform it'll be on eventually? Well, minor details I'll tell you guys later.
I mean,
Find out.
it's not. It's yeah. There's like the people that own the documentary are trying to
We'll figure it
find
out.
a partner. But yeah, it'll hopefully be out before the tour. in the
Okay,
fall.
so look out for it. Now I want to talk about this other thing that they do that I love so much is their record hangs. So I've been to most of the ones in LA at no vacancy, but before they were record hangs, right? Before it was just like you guys would DJ, before they became official record hangs. And they are, I want my entire life to be a Black Keys record hang. I have like this tiny little video. Will you play the video? It's just, that's literally what they're all like all the time. It's the best room, the best music, and they play records. Do you want to explain how that started and exactly what you play? Because it's not what you would imagine.
You know, we've always loved collecting vinyl, going to record shops as part of what we did when we go to different cities on tour. But it wasn't until like the last couple years we decided to start spinning records out, in clubs for fun. We started doing it, a little bit here and there. And we had such a good time, we sort of made it a mandatory part of tour. And it's been like a kind of energizing thing, It's been like a friendly competition to find the hot record, and it really carried over into the studio. Listening to all this music, exploring, trying to find all these different sounds, and then going into the studio like the next day, taking that energy.
That energy is incredible.
Yeah.
What have you learned
Also,
about...
it's so enlightening playing a record and seeing how the
How it
audience
moves.
responds.
That's what I was going to ask you. What have you learned about like human energy? Because you pretty much, when you guys DJ up there, manipulate is such an ugly word. Let me think of another one. You orchestrate energy. And so, but you get to tell what works, what doesn't, and you could see the people kind of going up, going down, getting sexy, or whatever it is. I had to say it like that. But what have you learned about like human energy and what you like to connect to watching these rooms?
When we're doing this, we always invite like a friend to come join us. And my favorite thing is when someone just doesn't get it and starts playing like the worst music.
Like what would that be?
I mean, someone just played like, I don't know, some Madonna song. It's just some 80s thing. It was just like looking them in the eye and just bringing the fader down.
Yeah. Because it doesn't make sense that these record hangs are like Bo Diddley and like The Clash and the Rolling Stones and T-Rex and like there's like this soulfulness to it. So if they drop like a random 80s Madonna song, that must have been strange.
It's
Must
kind of
change the room.
unspoken rule.
Yeah.
It's all, pre-1980.
All right, so let's get to the new record. We have arrived at Ohio Players. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. The entire experience listening to it felt like one of your record hangs.
Oh.
It really did, like the whole thing. It's impressive. It's from the get-go. I was driving, so in order for me to get the album in advance, they send it to me with a watermark, and then I have to type in a passcode and a password and get a number and jump up and down on one leg and pee in a bucket and howl at the moon, and then it arrives, right? So I'm driving on the 101 and I'm listening to it. I'm obsessed at this point. I cannot live without it. And it disconnected, and I pulled over on the side of the freaking 101 freeway on the shoulder, going south before the fucking Highland exit. Cops are driving past me, but I was like, I need this song to play right now. So tell me about the record that almost got me killed.
Sorry
Please.
about that.
Have you thought
Don't
about
be. It was my choice. It was my poor choice.
Have you thought about therapy at all?
You have some heavy hitters. You've got Beck. You've got a Gallagher brother. You've got Noel. And then you've got Juicy J from 3-6 Mafia, which, as the kids would say, is a flex. Tell me about the experience. What brought this record out of you?
On the last album, we started to like dip our toes into collaborating with people, which we really hadn't done much of. Like when we worked with Danger Mouse on a record. It was just him and the two of us. So it was only in the last couple of years that we actually felt comfortable, I guess, being in the studio with other people creating stuff from scratch. And once we broke through that barrier and we needed to start this new record, we thought we'd dig into the Rolodex a little deeper. And the first person we thought of was Beck. Because he was someone who helped us out very early on, took us on tour very early. And he always talked about making some music with us. And we'd never gotten around to doing it, so we reached out to him, and that kind of got the ball rolling. And it was that spirit of collaboration that, we carried on making the record.
Beck is on the first song on the record, which is my absolute favorite. Well, it's tied, but it's called "This Is Nowhere," and it was playing in the house. I'm sure you guys were like dancing to it, but
according to Exclaim magazine,
Jesus Christ.
It's the worst start to any Black Keys album.
I'm gonna fight them. But let's move past that for a second because this record's amazing. Yeah, you've got a bunch of people that are ready to fight whoever. Where did you say he was? Manitoba?
Manitoba.
Where are we going?
We've just rerouted the tour.
We're heading straight to
Manitoba. We're going straight there.
From you.
In fact, this set is canceled.
From your perspective, what do you think is important for us, the listeners, to know about this record? What do you want us to know when we're listening or experiencing it for ourselves?
I mean, I think the only thing that you need to know is that we've been doing this for a long time, and I think we just really figured out how to really enjoy it seriously. And so this is a product of us working harder than we ever have, but having more fun than we ever have, and we spent more time in the studio working on this album than Brothers, El Camino, Turn Blue combined. Because to get to these songs, we finished 29 songs, and then we started kind of figuring out, what this album was, and it was like, oh, it needs to represent like the energy of kind of the record hang, like just the fun. Musically, I don't know, like it's not really informed by the record hang music, other than maybe the choices we made arranging, like kind of editing out, things that seemed redundant in a song or something. But I think, we got to this collection of songs that all work together, and it is different than anything we've made. And it was really hard to pick the first couple songs that got shared, so I feel like people really don't have a concept of what the album sounds like yet. Beautiful People is by far like the most kind of mainstream thing on the album. And we put out, Forgot to Be Your Lover, which is, because of Valentine's Day, it just seemed to make sense, but that's a completely different type of song than anything else on the record. So I'm excited for people to hear the whole thing.
On the Game made me emotional, and I've never cried to a Black Keys song before, so I don't know if I was having like a hormonal issue at the moment or
On the Game, that's one of the songs we wrote with Noel Gallagher.
Yeah.
In London, and we'll be playing that in a few minutes.
Okay. Before we wrap it up, so they can play for you, just 3 quick things. You had a party. You DJ'd for the Playboy party at Chateau Marmont. My phone was dead, and maybe I was drunk, but one of you wrote in with Jason Momoa. Was it you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He told me to tell you to give me his phone number and that it would be okay. So we can handle that later.
I got you.
Thank you. The other person I want to talk about really quick is Derek T. Tuggle. Have you guys seen the Lonely Boy video? The guy, the security guard that dances like that, that's a real human being. He didn't get paid to do that. He was telling me the story because from what he says on his YouTube story about the experience, he was a background guy and you guys fell in love with his moves and you made him the video. Is that true?
I mean, making a music video is always like, can be the hardest part, because it's always last minute. Like no matter how, I don't know, ahead of it you want to get. Like it's just, for us it's always like we're finishing it the day before it's done.
He wants to
the
think.
day before it's due. And so we had this whole video shot for Lonely Boy. It took 2 days to shoot it. It was like starring Bob Odenkirk, and it was directed by Bob Dylan's son Jesse, and it was like this huge production. And we watched it. We're like, this
sucks.
and we're like, what are we gonna do? And Dan remembered us watching Derek dance for his one scene that was gonna take about 2 seconds of the video, and then Dan just said let's just use that.
Yeah. I said, do we have him doing the whole song? you know, and they sent it to us. It was like the most compelling thing we'd seen.
So essentially, we spent $85,000 making something that we could have done for like with an iPhone for free.
Keep an eye out for Derek T. Tuggle. He's going to come back around in this cycle. But all this was a roundabout way of me saying I would like his phone number as well, if it's available. And then
No, you know what we did is, because he was paid as a background on that video, because that's what he was, right? So we made a big blockbuster music video, and he's the star. So that comes out.
That's the On the Game video. It comes out.
Yeah,
tonight.
with the song that Noel Gallagher's on. And also, last thing I will say, if you invite Noel Gallagher out one night to play with you, and you secretly tell Liam to open for you, you will have reunited Oasis, and only you two can do it. So we are counting on you, is all I want to say. No pressure.
We've been working on it.
You have? Okay. Do you trust the Black Keys? Yeah! Do you want to hear the Black Keys play some songs? Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Black Keys. They'll be back.